In the venue, I sort of teared up when I was like, oh, they're all crying on stage, they're all holding each other, and I was like, this is so emotional. I was like, I think I feel something. This is Climbing Gold.
What were people's favorite moments?
For me, we haven't even talked about it, but like, let's talk about Brooke. I mean, like, what a boss. I mean, she came out, she had a great day of climbing, she performed at her best, and she legitimately challenged Yanya. I mean, like, pushed Yanya to the very end. And got a silver medal. I'm like, what a boss. So I was so happy for her. I mean, we've interviewed her, and then I'd hung out with her mom and stuff before the event, and then I interviewed her twice afterward, and I was just like, oh, I'm so happy for Brooke. Mostly because it's exactly the progression that you want to see in sport, where you're like, oh, she sort of slipped in Tokyo, didn't have her best, sort of struggled, came back way mentally stronger, way more composed, way more seasoned, and then had her best day of climbing and freaking won a silver medal. You're like, what a boss.
Yeah, I agree. And just also to watch her behavior and her sportsmanship, that's
Yeah,
was talking
totally.
about that too. Like she just was so fun to
Positive.
watch and positive and, you know, yeah, it was really
Well, it's
great.
because
I
she's so
think,
much less stressed. I think mentally she's in such a better place than a lot of the other competitors, and it just showed in both her performance and her demeanor.
yeah, absolutely. She definitely like watching her was certainly on the top three of my favorites. Another favorite moment for me was watching Colin stick problem four.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Um,
So amazing. He's
and like
so good.
realize, yeah, yeah, it was so cool. And I just, yeah, that was really amazing.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought that was
he kind of saved that boulder from being a kind of a dud, right? With being the only competitor to top it. What an awesome boulder too.
and
Just
he
the
looked
finish with the
so
two
good on it.
fingers.
Like that
Yeah.
was the thing is
Yeah,
it wasn't even like he just looked dominant on that boulder compared to everybody else. Like it looked so easy for him.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
think the last 2 or so minutes of the women's final. I think we've kind of already mentioned it, but I just think all packaged together, that has to be thought of as just such a highlight reel moment. From the time that Yanya reaches and kind of confirms that she has won the gold medal with getting the hold, and then she climbs a little bit higher, and then she falls, she's belayed down, and then she celebrates, and Brooke running over to her to congratulate her. I think that all together is just it was just I was thinking it's an incredible moment because it hit on multiple levels. I think just from pure sports fandom, just watching her reach and get the gold medal, like that kind of nail biting moment, is she going to get the gold medal or not? That speaks to the sports fan. I think then when she is lowered down and she literally like falls to her knees because she's so overcome with emotion, the elation, the relief. I think that speaks to just almost like a human level, right? Like you don't need to be you don't need to know anything that's going on in that situation, but you see the emotion wash over her, and you can't help but be moved by that. But then when Brooke runs over to give her the hug, the first person to congratulate her in person is Brooke, the person that she's just beat, right? For the person that Yanya has just beat out of the gold medal, uh, is the first person to congratulate her. To me, I'm like, that speaks to the climbers, because it's all about sharing the stoke, right? Like that's kind of like why we do the podcast and why people listen to this podcast, because we know that the communal part of climbing is what makes it just the best. And I think that was kind of embodied by Brooke running over to congratulate her. So I don't know. I have goosebumps right now talking
Yeah.
about it, because those last two
Yeah.
minutes were just, it's like there was something for everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the venue, I sort of teared up when I was like, oh, they're all crying on stage, they're all holding each other, and I was like, this is so emotional. It's like so powerful.
Wait,
They're all
did you
like
tear up
so.
or
Well, I
almost?
didn't cry, but I was sort of like, oh, I
Okay,
felt like
just
slightly misty,
checking.
I was sort of like, oh, like I was like, I think I feel something, and I feel something like
You were
powerful.
verklempt.
Yeah, yeah. I was
one
like,
day we're
oh,
gonna get Alex to cry on the podcast.
that would it would take a lot, but I was like, oh, I was like, this. It definitely felt really powerful in person. It's like,
Yeah.
what a. I really liked seeing the examples of good sportsmanship, and there were a lot of them throughout the 6 days. But I'm particularly with the French climbers because a lot of the French climbers, I feel like, were kind of long shots. Like Paul climbing in, it's like never heard of him. Like he's not like winning World Cups or anything, but he's out there like giving his best shot, trying his very best, and the crowd was going insane for anybody from France in a way that I felt like I almost felt bad for the competitors because it's like the crowd is, wants them to win so badly, but obviously they're not going to win. Like you're kind of like, this isn't going to be the first time in their lives that they suddenly like wildly outperform everyone they've been competing against for the last couple of years. It's like it's just totally unrealistic. And yet, I don't know. And so you could kind of see that a lot of the competitors were stressed, by the expectations, the people yelling at them or whatever. And yet and a lot of them were clearly disappointed. They'd come off some of the boulders and be like, "Oh, this is upsetting that I couldn't do this." But when they still sort of managed to wave to the crowd, acknowledge everybody, take a bow, whatever, like collect, I don't know, it was just nice to see when people could step outside of their own emotional experience and be like, "This is an incredible place that I am. I appreciate the crowd. Thank you guys. What a day," and walk off.